Vanessa Villanueva. For those who don't know me, I am one of the leaders of the Moravia sales team. My husband and I run our team together, and I've been in the business like 14 years now, give or take. I started off in a boutique real estate with my mother. It was she and I, and my background is in the affordable housing sector. We worked on developments, so more of a large scale production. So when I transitioned out from there about 4 or 5 years ago, that's when I really started to dive into the market rate business, right? Just your standard sales, nothing to do with city subsidies or anything to that effect. So I had crunch time, right? I had to do a lot of catch up. So now that we're here, we have a team of 4, and we're working on growing our team and to continue elevating our business, right? So now you can't elevate your business if you're not willing to continue to perfect your skills, right? And not only perfect your skills on the business side, but continue to feed into yourself. This is a very weighing business. I definitely giggle to myself a lot when you hear people come in and say, oh, I joined real estate because I can make a quick buck, right? Or I can definitely learn how to, kind of work weekends. So if with that mindset it is that you're here, you're definitely in for a rude awakening, because it is definitely not going to be anything to that effect. This would probably be one of the more stressful things that you do with your time or your career choice, but it can elevate you in so many different ways if you continue to dig deep and work through it. So I wanted just to show you this real funny clip, because I feel like even though real estate is full of stressors, we can continue to learn through it from these bad examples, right? And not just with other agents, it's your buyers, your sellers, your clients, right? Your peers, your family. So just again, learning how to cope with those scenarios so that you can constantly look to improve yourself. There you go. Can you guys still see the screen? I need someone to let me know.
Yes. Yes.
You see where it's I switch over to YouTube?
No, always
No.
I see is the check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, that's what I see too.
Okay, hold on, let me change it over. Just because Jujani's not here, so it's a little bit different. I'm just gonna do desktop. Okay, so now can you guys see this? This YouTube?
Yep.
And for those, especially, I don't know how long the other agents on here have been in the business, but I know Jasmine for sure can relate when
Introducing Blue Shell.
with some of these scenarios.
It's gonna cost me more than the commission. And too little. Come on. I asked them to leave the top up open. Dishes they make a mistake. How about we price it to waste my time? I'll waste how about 8 to 10 Sundays? Did you have any trouble finding it? It's gonna be a bidding war, because I'm already getting offers at ask. Are you working with an agent? If you decide you don't want to work with an agent, we can talk about that because it's your decision. I assume that you've seen other properties in the neighborhood and you understand how competitively priced this is. How about upstairs? You wanna see upstairs? Let's go. The eastern window also is a partial view of a wall and partial view of construction. You could definitely fit a queen in this room, very flexible crowd. You may be able to have the air conditioning.
Do you want to tune into the link?
You have to be mine.
No, we're just started.
I already started, so I'm doing it on the link because there's no one here, so if you have your computer, you can log into and see it on the computer.
You think
Sorry,
maybe
we
it's
make
expensive?
something
How
No,
about
you
talk
can
to
where you
yourself
are.
for 5
You just
minutes?
log in.
Small deal.
I definitely need a word
Or if you can, you can have Giordani help you log into this computer here. Okay.
You're a cash buyer?
Okay, yes, I'm teaching the class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I told you, I said them to do that.
There's an instrument that's a rehearsal room, it's a flexible space, it's a flexible floor plan. Where do you have I'm getting myself $500. Come down and say not for more. And then meanwhile, you know, the city's turning into an apocalyptic.
So I just wanted to give you a scenario, right, of you're definitely gonna encounter this person if you haven't already. You will end up being this person if you're not looking to feed yourself in the right ways, right? Someone who's obviously tainted with the experience of working with either just having bad habits. They're obviously not associating themselves with a productive environment. They obviously don't know how to value their time, their clients' time. Ethics is definitely a big thing here, in terms of how they've been, be speaking to whoever they're speaking to. So we just have to, again, make sure that when we come every day, you need to come with your best foot forward, right? Eventually, those bad habits are gonna take a toll, even personally, right? Your personal life takes, is a huge component as to how you're gonna be maneuvering and managing all of these, these in and out deals, on how you're managing your time, on how the effort that you're putting in, what you're looking to put into the business, who you're affiliating yourself with. So again, making sure that you're taking the time to learn through these, not necessarily just absorbing or taking in those bad habits and doing nothing that's gonna be fulfilling to your career, right? If you join this business, you join Keller Williams, it's because you found value in it, right? You felt like you had a niche, there was some sort of specialty, some sort of calling for it. So we need to make sure, again, you need to reevaluate why you're here, what your triggers are, and how we can continue to build off of that. Now, I definitely wanted to take a moment and talk about pet peeves, right? So some of my pet peeves in just that video alone, and I know I've encountered this for sure, especially since I've started so young, is people who feel entitled to talk to you to a certain way. Whether you're a female, right, and we're in a male-dominated industry, I feel like that started to change as well. Dan was the only male in here, so definitely there's been a lot of changes in progress there, but you're gonna encounter that. Or people who feel that because they have a lot more time in the industry than you, that they can talk to you in a certain way. Ghost agents. If this is you and I'm speaking to you, please make some adjustments because you're not gonna last long in this industry. The agent that pops up to your showing or allows their buyer to come to the open house, which isn't an issue, right? But then submits an offer and you never hear from them again. And then you end up having to do all the work. That's a big toll after a while if you're not learning how to manage those sort of expectations, right? What are some of your pet peeves? Or some things that you've seen that you're just like, definitely do not want to be that person? Anybody have anything that they want to throw in the chat?
Well, I will. I guess the agent that always tries to double end a deal. You're trying to call and make an appointment, they're not getting back to you. And of course we know a lot of those. So that's one of my pet peeves, is just trying to double end the deal, not give access to any agent.
That's definitely a good one, because we all know that brokerage or that agent who, once they list something, you're like, oh, it's a great listing, I would love to see it, but you're never gonna get in. Anybody else have a pet peeve? No. So I feel like knowing, again, the purpose of this class is how to be a better you, right? And in being a better you is identifying what you don't wanna be like, right? So if for Jasmine, one of her pet peeves is, you know, I just don't wanna be that agent that never double or never looks to co-broke. They never look to co-broke because they're not valuing themselves in that listing appointment. They probably negotiated a 3% and they're not looking to pay out anybody or anything else. Their marketing probably sucks because they didn't leave any sort of dollar amount for marketing, right? So, you know, they're looking to cut all costs on that end. And one of the biggest costs is gonna be on the co-broke situation. So right there, what that says, if Jasmine's like, I never wanna be that agent, then what Jasmine needs to make sure that she's doubling down on is her value proposition, right? Making sure that anytime you have a conversation with a prospective seller, even a buyer, right? Because I'm not gonna ask you guys to volunteer if you don't want to on that topic, but I know that I've had experiences where I didn't maybe take a buyer to this particular place because I was still very new. And if they're not paying out 2%, I'm not working just the same for less. So I'm probably gonna go this way. And you know, that's something I had to learn through, because you know what? I was scared to have those conversations, but at the end of the day, once I learned how to have the conversation, how to value my time, you know, the people that you align yourself with in business will respect that if they truly feel that there's a value there. So these pet peeves are great indicators of where you can maybe focus your efforts, right? That where you can say, hey, I wanna learn more about this. I need to maybe align myself with someone in the office who excels and is really good at this. Come to more classes, right? This month, we're gonna be talking about win with buyers, right? So there's definitely something in there for everyone. Identify a few classes that you're like, listen, I need to get better at this. I need to make sure that I'm being the best that I can be. Let me take that class and save it, right? And then know once it comes out, all I just need is the link, boom, I'm popping into the class, right? But anybody else have another pet peeve that they wanna share?
It's funny you mentioned the commission part, because when I first got started, I was driving around and around, and when I look at some of the commission, yes, it's like 1%. But to me, it was like, you know, I enjoyed helping people, so it didn't matter to me. But I had a broker said to me, why are you doing that? You know, think twice. You might want to have a conversation with your buyer and ask them to pay the additional commission. And I was like, but I don't think I can do that. But, you know, it's interesting how you mentioned that part, but I was just having flashback to that. And then with you mentioning getting better in areas, that is something that I know I want to get better at, like a cold call, right? Like I'm scared. But if there's someone who I could like listen in on, like when they're calling, or just observe what they're doing, I mean, if I can get that, that will make my year. Because that is something that I shy away from, and I'm hoping that I could find someone who's really good at that, and I can kind of mimic them.
And that's definitely opportunities that you're gonna have here, right? So this month, Mondays, like every other Monday, check the calendar that Giordani sent out. If you don't have it, make sure you call the office. They'll be more than happy to supply you one. And our Facebook agent page, I put it in there as well. On every other Monday, we're gonna be having script classes. So make sure that you come in, right? These are the script classes are going to be through Zoom as well. you're definitely not gonna necessarily have the same experience as you're here in person, right? Because you see someone's body language, you can tell off their facial expressions, and let's be honest, you know, you're not maybe having some listing appointments here and there, but all of your buyer conversations are gonna happen in person at some point. So get that real experience if you can. So you have every other Monday, we're gonna have script classes. Every other Thursday, there's going to be lead gen. So during the lead generation, you'll have a forced experience if it's something like to desk. I don't know if it's to desk up, it says just to desk there, but for to desk, if it's something where just having the conversation is, you know, gives you anxiety and just makes you feel sick to your stomach, then put yourself in that situation so that you can physically be here and forced to do it. Because I'll be one, I don't like cold calls. They make me feel sick. I'm like sweating, I'm like anxious, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do here. I get hit with a rejection sometimes and I freeze. It happens even to experienced agents. But you learn to work through it. And the first few times are probably gonna suck, they're gonna be very shaky, but as you continue to develop that skill, you will eventually, you know, be able to handle yourself a little better. And that'll be every Thursday. The lead gen will work on getting a list together. If you come prepared, even better. Make sure that you say, hey, I've identified, you know, this maybe block or 2 block radius of places I wanna call or I wanna, you know, farm, and that will be provided to you, right? But come prepared to the class to have that sort of conversation so you get more out of it. Right, because again, these pet peeves that we see in the industry and that we want to avoid being labeled as that person only come when you're self-evaluating yourself, right? Like, what am I doing that either I'm shying away from, avoiding altogether, or not noticing that I can continue to build my career off of. Because again, this isn't from one day to the next. Sort of business choice that you get into or career choice that you happen to fall into. You have to want it, you have to need it, you have to, I mean, I know that we also have a lot of dual career agents here, but for the most part, this doesn't have a safety net, you know? So you're either gonna free fall, you're gonna end up coming prepared with your parachute. You gotta make sure that you make those opportunities more eventful for yourself. Another pet peeve that I have are agents that don't ask for help, right? Like they don't come and say, hey, you know what, maybe I'm new and I just need a little bit of guidance, right? They come in, they disappear, they reappear again. They're either just like super hot in terms of the way that they interact. Well, that's another thing. I hate when there's already animosity or some sort of undertones. We all have bad days, right? But when you're dealing with people's life choices, right, in terms of your clientele, and they have a lot on the line, your bad day can end up losing that for them, right? Because your tone, just your behaviors, how you conduct yourself is gonna weigh in heavy on whether or not I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to deal with this person for X amount of time. If we have better options or offers on the table and I've had better experiences with those agents definitely get moved up on the list because nobody wants to have to deal with that sort of animosity and that sort of energy 3 months in. Or 3 months out, right? Because that's how long the typical deal takes. So making sure that, again, you're always self-evaluating so that you know what you need to do to just make it a better experience for all. You have, that can lead to so many opportunities, right? Not only just a database that's strong in terms of like a strong referral base, right? I've been in the business now for like 14 years. 90% of my business is repeat business, repeat clients, people that have said, you know what, I enjoyed my experience with Vanessa and her team, Moravilla. I want to continue working with them. you won't, this business is really heavy on that. So if you're not continuing to feed into just what makes a better you, your referral base is gonna die down very quickly, and you're gonna constantly have to be scrambling for more and more business. So how do we take care of ourselves, right? So again, making sure that you identify what you need to feed your mind, body, and soul. I'm very big on that. Where this is, I'm coming from a more holistic approach in this class. This is meant for like a quick little crash course conversation. But you can take this in many different ways, right? But I'm coming from a more holistic approach because let's be real, like everyone has a bad day at some point, but do your clients want to hear about that, see that, feel that? No. So you have to be able to find that balance on starting your day off in the right foot and being able to surpass your circumstances, to be able to to find other ways to make sure that you're always coming 100% to in everything that you do. And this can be applied for everything, not just real estate, but for the purpose of this, like today, I was having a crappy day. I put on some print, I put on some bright colors. She did my hair, which is like always a major feat for me because I don't know how to do that. But I wanted to feel better. I know that I have this class I had to prepare for. We have a closing that's going on right now as I'm speaking, celebrating my son's 100 days of Duolingo later today, and he has me making this extravagant dinner. An 8-year-old decided he wanted ribs, sweet potatoes, and all the whole works. So I gotta come ready, right? Like everything needs my attention, and I wanna give it my all, so I've gotta make sure that I gotta do what I need to do to make myself feel better, right? So I don't wanna ever limit the experience that my clients, my environment, the other agents I'm interacting with, other people to be affected by my bad start to the day. I just listed some stuff here that I'm personally working on, right? Like the eat and exercise, ain't nobody here that can say they got that down packed, right? But that's one of my biggest struggle because it's like a yo-yo diet for me in moments. So definitely something that I know though, when I implement that into my life, I come energized, I come ready, like the fog is lifted. I know, okay, I'm gonna make this like an A1 day for me. I love to read. I think that that's a huge part of your not just knowledge base, but and mood relaxer, but it just adds so much wealth into the conversations that you have. It's a great piece to connect with your clients, your community. You can build off so much from reading. I also listen to a lot of YouTubes. Adon and I, it's crazy. You see our YouTube homepage. It's like everything stretching through there. But find out some ways that will make sure that you're coming to this to be the best agent that you can be. Anybody else want to share some stuff that they do?
Vanessa, I'll jump in for you there. I just same way you guys listen to your YouTube videos, and I know I work in the same office as you guys, so I hear them also. I like to listen to like music that gets me hyped in the morning on my drive to work. Like I don't think my brain is fully set yet to listen to the motivation stuff. So I'll put on some like uplifting music that just like gets me in a good mood. So your brain kind of slowly starts to kind of open up the floodgates to take on whatever the day's gonna bring.
That's so true. Don has
I was just gonna say that also. I was just gonna say I try to start off like the early morning with the motivational podcasts and stuff, but then like on my drive into the office or to an appointment, I try to get pumped up because every day is not the best day. Sometimes you might be tired or you have other things, like you said, you have to make ribs tonight. You have other things on your brain, but you have to get into like action mode and prepare for, what's ahead of you.
Yeah,
I also like to, like, if you're not that you, again, like back if you're feeling down or you're not kind of in your zone, I like to give my dad a call because he's someone that can always you know, uplift me and just kind of give you that guidance and just that like extra spark to be like, okay, yeah, like, you know, I can do whatever I need to get done today.
That's awesome, definitely having that support system. Super important to be able to have some confidant, right? Someone that you feel like can, if you're lacking, they can kind of feed into and share some of their energy with you. That's awesome. And it's important, right, to establish these habits, right? So if Kevin's calling his dad every day when he gets in, if he needs that, you know, that pick me up, or, you know, that balance to his day. Lydia listens to meditation music in the morning, right? Whatever it is, establish that as a routine. Because once you start establishing that as a routine, you're gonna see how much better everything else starts to fall into place, right? So identifying what's important to you. And even if it's like 15 minutes, sometimes I get too ambitious and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read for an hour. And then I end up not doing it at all because now I'm just like, because now I'm like, oh, you know what, that's definitely not something that I'm gonna be able to do. I'm just gonna do it tomorrow, and start putting it off, right? So even if it's like a 10-15 minute thing, just making sure that it sets the mood for the day. And keeps your energy where it needs to be. And then and again, guys, this is only gonna be a 30-minute crash course on just tips on mood boosters and how to continue to be the best leader that you can be. These are some of the resources that I just put together. YouTube, right? Make YouTube like your online school. You can learn anything off of YouTube, and if you're not utilizing that already, you need to, right? Like Tom Ferry, Ryan Serhant. I listen to motivational videos every day, like Kevin said. Denzel Washington, you know, Tony Robbins, you know, there's so many people out there that you can just type in motivational videos, meditation music, whatever it is, and just go to work on that. You can learn whatever you need to learn. Tom Ferry has amazing scripts. So to Des, if it's something where you need to practice scripts, go to Tom Ferry. He has like this little like start, you know, you can start from as number 1 on his podcast, and you can identify, you know, like the top 5 things that, you know, agents fail at doing, so that you can make sure that you're implementing that into your daily practice. Ryan Serhant is amazing in terms of his content creation, how he promotes his business through social media, right? He really just made that such a pivotal point in his business, that he is the number 1 at that. Command University, if you know you need to work on organizing your database because your phone isn't enough and you know you're overwhelmed by keeping track of the messages, the emails, your notepad, you need to learn how to use Command. You can't keep avoiding it. You need to be able, if you're gonna grow at the capacity that you're looking to grow at, or you know, what I love about real estate is that there is no limit unless you apply it to yourself. So unless you tell yourself, oh, I can only do this, that's only what you're gonna do. And so make sure that you learn how to use your database. There's a Command University. I know Daniel, this is one of the things that Adon tested him with, and when they first originally met some months ago, and he took advantage, he went through each sequence. So, you know, now he's really starting to implement it more and more, and I'm sure that's definitely been a big burden lifted off his shoulders because he started it before he knew he implemented. And it comes a little bit easier. Of course, you're gonna still have to maybe get refreshers and have to work through it, and you know, you're probably gonna have to. Judon is another one that you can lean on. He did the Command University as well. So, you know, you have to stop avoiding the things that cause these frustrations, because if you want to be the best that you're gonna be, you need to make sure that you continue to feed yourself in the education in your business. You owe it that much if this is what you chose to do with your life. right? Attend classes, make sure that you are diving into what we're offering here. There's so much that you can learn with you know, on your own, but also all the resources that we have here. You guys are paying your monthly dues. You have access to so much through the Keller University. Take the time, make a list of things and start to, you know, maybe implement it. If that one item in that list maybe takes a week, so be it. But you know what, you're gonna end up being the best at it eventually, but you have to make the effort. Come to the office, mingle with some of the agents that we have here. We have amazing agents. Adon and I and Kevin are right down the hall. If ever the door is open and you wanna pop in and say hello, we're more than happy to answer any questions. But guess what, if you're not attending classes, you're not showing up, you're not doing the effort, you know, those opportunities are not gonna be just without limitations, right? Like everything comes with effort applied. And you know, there's also opportunities. You may, you know, if you sign up for the lead roster that Giuliani has together, if you're here in the office and an opportunity happens to walk in and you're up, you're gonna get that lead. But you have to be present, you have to be active. And you know, more importantly, you have to be addicted to the process of excelling, not just the results, right? Because the results, depending on how you limit yourself, can be short-lived, right? Once you get there, you're like, okay, I'm done. No, you have to continue to progress and push yourself beyond the limits that you think you're capable of, because we're definitely all capable of more. And yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Did you guys have any questions, any input? Anything that you were hoping to get out of it?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
One, I didn't get your name.
Oh, sure. So Vanessa Villanueva.
Okay.
And I'm one of the leaders in the Water Via sales team.
Okay, got it. So my question, because I believe you mentioned that you have a team right now.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you wait like a couple years before you say, let me put a team together? Or, because you know, like once you bring on an individual to the company with you, in my mind, that's like me start building a team, but not like having that structure. So do you recommend like waiting a couple years before or start building a team now?
So for me, it took me a long time to establish a team. And it's definitely no easy feat, right? There's a lot of structure, a lot of systems, a lot of cost that goes into having a team. A lot of responsibilities, a lot of training, a lot of mentorship. It's not something that you just turn on and off. It's something that is around the clock. And so I wouldn't say establishing a team is just something you do from one day to the other. It's making sure you have a database, right? Because that team is relying on you to supply leads, right? Like, what's your value add? Nobody joins a team just because. There has to be some value proposition that you're offering. So, and it all starts with your database, your stability, right? If I join the team, it is something where you're gonna be here today, gone tomorrow. Is it something where are you offering the highest level of education, of resources? You know, those are the things that you need to evaluate before you even think about creating a team. So when I knew the time was right, or we knew the time was right, Adon and I, I was leaving my mom's office and it was just us two. I was leaving my mom's office and I was starting to implement some of the systems, right? Because with being with my mom, we didn't have any systems. We didn't really utilize technology in the way that we should have. So when I started to do that, I started to see the reaction from my database immediately. So now instead of maybe the 15 deals I was doing a year, I jumped up to about maybe 25 to 30, right? And that was a huge jump, it's a huge volume. I started to see how my, my sphere interacted with my content that was put in. I put whatever yet NYC, if you guys want to follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you feel free to do so. But when I started posting more quality content and information, and I started using my email blast, I saw how my sphere and everyone I had there was interacting, and I started getting business. I couldn't manage it. I was working like anywhere between like 12-hour days. I'm also a workaholic, so I would work 7 days a week, and I'd work until the point of exhaustion, and then I'd do it again the next day, and the next day I would attend classes, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? And then when Adon and I joined forces, he was like, listen, because Adon's the dreamer, right? And our team, you always have that yin and yang. Adon is the dreamer, the visionary. I'm more of the practical executor, right? Like, kind of the blinders on. So it works because he pushed me past my limit, and I also kind of kept him grounded to make sure if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. So when we combine forces, we're like, you know what, if we put all of our energy together, we can really make this great. And then we started our journey. But it was definitely a bumpy one, it's a very costly one. We established our S Corp, we did it the way the KW model and how Jamal guided us in doing that. Creating an S Corp, we have an accountant, we have payroll, we have our systems that we use that we give our team access to, we have weekly meetings, so it's a lot. So it's not something, if that's your goal and that's your long-term goal, make sure that you make all the necessary steps to get there. Read books, do your research, start to get your business where it needs to be so that other people are encouraged to join your team.
Okay.
And get focused on that.
I appreciate that information. It was very, very, very helpful. And it allowed me to understand that there's a lot to it, even though I know there was a lot, but there's a lot to it. So I appreciate you saying that. I have one more question, and I don't mean to keep your time.
No, you're the only one talking, so let's do it.
Okay. So you mentioned quality content. I'm not big on social media, but I recently start back like updating my website, my Instagram. I started doing that within the last week. But contents, how do you determine or quality contents? You know what I mean? Because I don't want to just post for the hell of it.
Yeah, no, and that definitely probably helps conserve some of the followers that you do have, right? Because I know if people are posting trash, eliminate it. Like, that's not what I want to see. It's not appealing to me. It's not attractive. So some of the resources that I use is Canva. You can create a free account. They have hundreds of templates that you can have paid templates and free templates. I would go under free, and you can customize to your heart's desire. My biggest tip to you in terms of creating content is keep it relevant and organized, right? Like a concise approach. So March is Women's History Month, right? You can create content around the month, special holidays, conversations that you're having with your clients. People love to receive information or have some inside scoop. So make sure that you're talking to them about or educating them on, like I had this conversation with Daniel on what we might think is very simple and everyone should know, right? It's like the minuscule detail, but to the common person, they may not know. So we talked about just educating buyers on what does a gift mean, right? Like in terms of tapping into all assets when you're pre-qualifying a client, is explaining what a gift is, right? Where does it come from? Who gives it? What does the bank need in order to validate that gift? That can be a great reel, a great video. And there's content worthy of someone's attention. So make a list of different topics. We write them down on our team. We have like a Google Drive, and we'll just throw in there, like if anything comes up. I'll share it with usually with Kevin. And so this way I have a place I can refer back to. And sorry, one second, this is, can you turn it from the whole thing? Kevin, are you on here? Kevin, can you call Jill?
I'll call her.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everything's okay. So yes, just making sure that you're organized in your approach. You can also, this is something where YouTube is going to be amazing, right? You can go to YouTube and say, what's the, what is great content? What's content I can use on Instagram, right? What real estate content for Instagram? Different keywords. Great content for the month of March, and see what comes up, right? You can be specific to real estate. It can be, people love to know that you're familiar with the community that you're selling in, right? So go take a drive around the neighborhood. Go to your favorite local spot, your restaurant, your cafe, whatever it is, and show somebody the neighborhood that you're walking around in. The Bronx has tons of greenways. Go up and down Bronx River Parkway. Take a bike ride and do a couple of videos and show them what the Bronx is really like, because people have a tainted image of what that looks like, right? Like, whatever it is that you're gonna do, that's how my mind thinks, right? Like when I want content, or I'm looking to follow, or I'm looking to interact with my community, my mind goes into a whole different bunch of ways. So that's why you have to be able to organize your thoughts, and be able to take it in bite-sized chunks, just so that it's not a scattered mess once you put it on your social media. If you approach it in a very clean and concise way, you'll definitely see a lot more engagement, interaction, and shares.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I know I covered a lot. Anybody else wanna have any questions, wanna share some insight or feedback? Good. Okay, so again, guys, in the chat, I have our Instagram or social media name, so you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram with that. If you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. I'll put my contact information on there. If I don't respond right away or text back right away, do not get offended. There's a lot going on, right? So I'll definitely get back to you once I can. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next future classes. Make sure that you're tuning into the calendar, save those dates, so that we can continue to perfect our craft, right? Have a beautiful day, guys. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course.